Hi, we are back with Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous Companion's Guide for Unfair Difficulty, and today we're going to take a look at Greybor. If you are new to the series and don't know how we do our builds, they are all made for unfair difficulty and none of them exploit bugs, so they should all remain viable despite any bug fixes or patches made to the game. It's also worth mentioning that all my builds are tested from early to late levels. They are not made just for the sake of YouTube videos. I do them firstly for my own unfair playthroughs, and it's very important to me that they are actually effective at every level in the game, so I can actually get through with my playthroughs and not just remain the helm of theory crafting. Because this is a turn-based system, but the game is real time with pause, sometimes builds don't go as I'd expect them, and that's why I think the testing is important, so I can both bring you the best builds and actually be able to beat the game on unfair difficulty, which is my main goal. With all that out of the way, let's get to our builds. Greybor has a starting build of yet another 2-weapon fighting based character. I don't know why this is Owlcat's idea of a good melee damage dealer. Most of our melee damage dealers in this game are 2-weapon fighting builds. I think Scylla is the only exception. Maybe Social could be considered a melee damage dealer, but I think he's more of a support. And we have Woljif, Raju, and Greybor, all 2-weapon fighting builds. Let me tell you, this is not an optimal way to build a melee damage dealer by any means. There are some extremely strong 2-weapon fighting builds in this game, especially with some of the Mythic path options, but overall, just a 2-handed strength-based damage dealer is usually considerably better than a 2-weapon fighting build. And it's also easier to build, has more feats to take, since you do not need those 3 to 4 extra feats that the 2-weapon fighting build calls for. So you can even go into some more utility options in your feat selection. And yeah, the 2-weapon fighting build doesn't have as much leeway in terms of building. You really have a lot of feats you need to take and cannot skip to actually make this build effective. But let's see what we did to work around those problems in the feat choices. Again, we start with a build that doesn't have shatter defenses and not even outflank, so our chances to hit are very low when we get him, and we get him at level 9. He has a few wasted feats in Weakening Wound and slow reactions, for example. Also, Hammer the Gap is not amazing, but overall it's not too bad. At level 10, our first level up, we keep going Slayer, and there are 2 reasons. One of them, getting a advanced rogue talent, which is Opportunist. This is a very powerful rogue talent. It gives an attack of opportunity, which is extremely easy to trigger, and attacks of opportunity are always made at full BAB, so it's very nice to have more options to trigger attacks of opportunity, and they work really well with the ever ready mythic ability, which gives a big boost to attack and damage to your attacks of opportunity. We also take here studied target, +1, so now it is a +3 in our studied targets bonuses to attack and damage. So overall this is a lot of value in just one level into Slayer. But for now we don't have too much reason to keep going Slayer, and we go into Warpiest, Shield Bearer. This way we get the Shield Bash feat for free, and we also get a choice of an extra weapon focus feat at level 1, which I took into a heavy shield bash. We also get to choose a feat for level 11, which is going to be outflank. And we keep going to Warpiest for the next 3 levels now, 12, 13 and 14. At 13 we get to choose 2 feats. Our regular feat is going to be Dazzling Display, and our Warpiest bonus feat is going to be Shatter Defenses. Now we should be hitting things much more reliably, and our damage should be much better now, because we are just hitting more often and triggering sneak attack more easily as well, because enemies are made flat-footed by shatter defenses, which triggers sneak attacks when we hit. And our last level into Warpriest is going to be at level 14. The reason we stop here is because the main feature we wanted was Channel Negative Energy. The extra feats are super nice, but Channel Negative Energy is one of the main reasons we are here. So we can get the Mythic ability and Force Vigor and have more ways to trigger it effectively. So by using Channel Negative Energy to damage your own party, you trigger the Mythic ability and Force Vigor. And now we are done with Warpriest Shield Bearer at level 14, and at level 15 we take our first level of Ranger Freebooter. We get a choice of feat, which is going to be Shield Master. Unfortunately, this one's bugged. It gives a random +7 bonus to our shield attacks. That +7 bonus should not be there, as far as I understand, but this is a very important feat for a shield bash build, so even though it's bugged, we kind of have to take it. In Freebooter there are a lot of good features we get. The first one comes at level 1, it's Freebooter's Bane, a move action to give a +1 bonus to attack and damage to all our companions against the target enemy. At level 5 this bonus will become a +2. So at level 2 we get a choice of feat. It's not double slice, for some reason it's bugged. I here took the feat that gives a +1 to AC when wearing a shield. Not too impactful, but we did not have too many good options to choose from. Then at level 17 we get another feat. It's going to be Greater to Weapon Fighting. Just keep in mind that this feat has a requirement of 19 dexterity, so to get it we will need at least a +4 belt of dexterity. So make sure you have a belt of +4 to dexterity equipped before you level up to 17. And at level 18 we get the Freebooter's Bond feature. This you should use before every combat. Gives a +2 bonus to attack to our party for enemies we are flanking. And at level 19 we get an extra feat. It's going to be Combat Reflexes, and we also increase our Freebooter's Bane bonus from +1 to +2. Now with Freebooter's Bane, Ranger's Bond and Enforced Vigor we are able to give a total of +6 to attack to our party members. So this is a really nice total bonus to attack. It does take a few actions for us to use all of our features, but I don't mind that, especially since this build doesn't do a lot of damage by itself, and our main damage source is the attacks of opportunities that we are going to trigger with our party members. And for our last level I went 1 level on Fighter just for the bonus feat it gives, and I took Seize the Moment. For our Mythic path, we start at Mythic level 3 by the time we get him, so we take less than for survivability, 2 weapon fighting for extra chance to hit, and Ever Ready, which is going to work really well with Opportunist, which we have at level 10, and the Outflank, which we are going to get just 1 level later. So it's a very decent increase to our damage output, and also the chances to hit of our attacks of opportunity. Since we do not have shatter defenses yet, this is going to basically be the only way we have a decent chance to hit against enemies is by using our attacks of opportunity. At level 4 we take Leading Strike for extra damage. At level 5 we take Enforced Vigor. By now you should already have your Channel Negative Energy to trigger it. Level 6 we take Mythic Sneak Attacker for extra damage. And 7 Unrelenting Assault, again for just some extra damage. At level 8 we take Flawless Attack to improve our chances to hit. And at Mythic level 9 we take Thundering Blows. We do not have the highest attack bonuses, so we will be missing a few attacks, and Thundering Blow gives us some value out of those missed attacks. And last we take Power Attack Mythic for some extra damage. Our spellbook is not that impressive. We have Divine Favor, but since we are just a level 4 Warpiest, this can easily be just replaced by a prayer cast by someone else. And at level 2 we have Effortless Armor. Since we will be wearing armor, this one is not too bad, also not game changing. And in Ranger we have Lead Blades, and this one is a very decent bonus to our weapon damage, especially when we are using either Enlarged Person or Legendary Proportions, which you should be using as often as possible since they increase your reach and chances to get attack of opportunities against different enemies that will be within your reach. In equipment there are lots of very strong options for this build, but just to remind you of a very important thing, you need a belt of dexterity +4 for your 17th level up, so you can pick the greater 2 weapon fighting feat. So don't forget about the +4 belt to dexterity in this build, it's going to be needed for your feat selection. In the head slot I have a bonus to wisdom, just so we can use more spells from both Ranger and the Warpiest spells. Amulet, just a bonus to natural armor, also Cloak, just a bonus to resistance. Ring, you can just give him a bonus to deflection as well. But the most important things are the armor and the shield. The armor, I'm using White Dragon. This way you can very easily trigger your Enforced Vigor, at least for your melee companions, which will be closer to you and, if you position well, should be within these 5 feet, so they take 2d6 points of cold damage and get to use the bonus to attack and damage from Enforced Vigor, which is fairly strong in my opinion. For bracers we have this one, which increases the damage of our offhand weapon, in our case our shield's damage. For our axe there are not that many good dwarven war axes, but this one is not bad. It gives a extra bonus to attack and damage. It doubles your insight bonus to attack and damage. And if you have a cleric that can use the nobility domain for a +2 insight bonus to attack, this one is going to double it to a +4. There are no +5 enchantment dwarven war axes to my knowledge in this game, so we kind of have to use greater magic weapon to make it a +5 like you see here. So you can even use another option of war axe if you don't like this one, since you will be casting greater magic weapon to increase its enhancement bonus anyway. And for shield, this might be the most powerful item this build gets. There's a lot of text to cover here, I'm just going to go over the most important features. Dark Aura is one of the best options for us. It gives a +2 profane bonus to attack of opportunities. So, since this build relies so much on attack of opportunities and our party is very much built around using things like outflank, seize the moment and the ever ready mythic ability, this is going to increase our chances to hit those attacks of opportunity, and they do a lot of damage because of the ever ready, so works very well with what we already have. We also get a increase to mind affecting spells DC, which is nice for our Nano build if you are bringing her along. And the other important feature is the Dark Nova ability. This deals 20 damage to all our allies, triggering Enforced Vigor, and also gives a +5 damage bonus to our party. So overall, works really well with what we already have. So a very nice item that synergizes with this build. Let's take a look now at how Greybor performs in combat. Here we have Soziel with Frightful Aspect to get enemies shaken and trigger our Shatter defenses, and Leopard to tank. I'm going to use Freebooter's Bone to start with here, gives us a +2 to attack, and also Freebooter's Band for an extra +2 against the Merleaf here. Let's pull her to the Leopard so he can tank for us, and we go in afterwards. Here you can see our damage is not bad because of our sneak attack, but let's take a look at our chances to hit. Here we missed the first attack, this was with our axe, it's a 41, but we did not have our studied target bonus, which would add a +3, so would get us to a 44. Not terrible, but also not great. And with the shield we have a much higher bonus because of the Shield Master bug, but it really should be the same as the axe, 44 with the studied target. And also if we are flanking the enemy with outflank, here we are not triggering outflank, it would increase to a 48, so it's not bad. But our damage is not that amazing. It is kind of consistent because of the sneak attack at least, but against enemies that have immunity to sneak attack, we really lose a lot of damage. And mostly this build is much stronger when playing with a full party, so they can trigger attacks of opportunities for you. You can see that we took a lot longer to kill this Merleaf if you compare this to our last few builds, and the reason for that is just because this is built as a team-based character. It really needs a team to trigger its attack of opportunities and take advantage of its bonuses to attack to really be effective. But at the end of the day, it's a build I enjoyed playing. The Enforced Vigor mythic ability is very interesting, and the White Dragon armor is a great way to trigger it for some characters every fight, and having Freebooter's Bond and Freebooter's Bane is never bad. We did not have any characters with it, so Greybor, being someone that can use those buffs for us, is very welcome in our party, especially late game when enemies start to have a very high AC on unfair difficulty. So this is going to be it for my Greybor build. As always, let me know if you liked in the comments, if you have any improvements for this build as well, and if you did something different for your Greybor, I'd love to hear, so tell me if you build him differently and what you thought of the end results for your build. But this is it for the video, and until the next one, I hope you have a good time.